got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA, it's Talk 1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First. And my first thing, every day giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors, the elders, the community, and let's go. Let's go. It's a Talking Point Tuesday. Let's break it down. Let's figure it out. Let's find the falsities, and there are many, right? So things we repeat, things we hear, and then regurgitate that do not serve us. They are everywhere in the age of the internets, in the age of social media, and just, the so-called information age, which means, a lot of misinformation. The misinformation age, what we do around here, hour one, we look to the local. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we usually do a deep dive, a person, a topic, something worth talking about. And you're always invited in. That's the deal. I roll out that red, black, and green carpet, and you are welcome in via phone, via YouTube, via socials. Phone is 800-920-1580. YouTube is KBLA 1580, and you'll see me there. It's a low makeup day. You'll see me there. Every day we're live. And then, of course, the social media it's KBLA 1580 on every platform. And we got all the platforms. We also are happy to talk to you. Well, I am on my socials, which is DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, say my name, and then radio, DiPrima Radio. And I'm on every platform now. Even my YouTube channel is accessible via DiPrima Radio. Please like, follow, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, make a comment. Love to hear what you have to say. Believe it or not, started checking out some of the YouTube commentary from our live streams, and that's always interesting. In this hour, it's going to be me, you, and the microphone. Next hour, we're going to be talking with attorney Nana Jumphy. You'll still be welcome to call freestyle phones, but she will give us a legal lens and a legal mind as we continue to wait for the outcome in the trial of City Council member Mark Ridley Thomas. Jury not coming back with a decision on yesterday. But we could see it today, tomorrow. I mean, it could happen any day. My understanding is that the jury wanted more information. They wanted to ask questions. And so I'd imagine it would take today, or at least part of today, to digest those questions. So more than likely tomorrow, but I'm not a lawyer. Attorney Nana Jumphy is, so it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say about that. And then we'll be hearing from Dr. Bridget Williams. She is a board-certified medical doctor, and she is a cannabis coach. Yeah, I've never heard of it either. But she wants you to have courage in cannabis. And she's very dedicated to the medical applications and all of the ways that Mary Jane can be used medicinally, and is very interested in helping you and other doctors to understand that journey. It's not a joke for her. It's actually the name of her new book. It's called Courage in Cannabis. Looking forward to that conversation as well. We got a lot going on around here today and every day, and I'm glad that you are here with me. I'm going to admit that I am absolutely on pins and needles around the Mark Ridley Thomas trial, praying that he will be found not guilty, be acquitted, be exonerated, and be able to return to the city council. And that's no shade to Councilwoman Heather Hutt. I think she's done a great job, but I just hate to see Mark Ridley Thomas, who has been one of our most effective leaders, African American or otherwise, here in Southern California, him and his family have to go through this and also be neutralized from the standpoint of the political advocacy that he's done for so many years for all of us. So I must admit, this is stressing me out a little bit. I'm sure not nearly as much as some others in the community, and definitely not as much as his family. But we will know something, I would imagine, for sure this week. I want to go a little bit more into what we talked about with attorney Carrie Harper on last week in terms of what's going on with the Altadena and Pasadena police departments and their actually Altadena is sheriffs, right? So now there are calls from some activist groups, some actually, interestingly enough, gang peace groups, and some folks that, of course, the Black Lives Matter advocates, calling for more accountability, calling for more conversation and transparency around the death of Charles Towns, who was killed by sheriffs in Altadena, and whose sons, as you heard, whose teenage sons, one a minor, the other 18, which is still a kid, being harassed and detained by the Pasadena Police Department. What's going on with that case? I'm going to give you an update on that. We've got some new information. I mentioned to you that I want to delve a little deeper into the tenants' protections, and that's because we sort of have skimmed over them. We've talked about them as a news story, but now we're in the part of life, the part of the cycle where people are getting evicted from their homes. Those eviction moratoriums or eviction slowdowns that were enforced or enacted during the pandemic, they're being eased up. So how can you protect yourself? What is in place to help you help yourself? There's been criticism in the press that Mayor Bass needs to do more, and I've had some people call here more to keep people who are housed from becoming unsheltered through evictions. And we're certainly looking at a time when that can be a serious, serious wave. So I want to look at what you have in place, what the mayor said to us about that. By us, I'm talking about the black press. And it makes sense, since a huge percentage of those who are unhoused, who are living in tents right now, are African American, either African American or Latino. You add those together, you've got the majority, which is crazy. So to talk about that, I think we need to start getting familiar with what our rights are, what our options are, and how we can fight to stay where we are. And I have a friend who's a landlord. She's a mama landlord. She's a retired black woman who worked hard to get the homes that she owns, her own and the one she rents out. And she says I'm too pro-tenant. And I am not meaning to discount you, the mom and pop community landlords. I'm not meaning to do that. But I do think some of us are gouging. Some of us are charging more than we need to. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You know that when you bought that property, you didn't pay anything near that, and your mortgage isn't anywhere near that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't make a profit, but there are considerations, right? There are limits. And then on top of that, I think that we have to look at the fact the majority of landlords especially in South LA and other black and brown communities, are corporate. They are these big Wall Street landlords that own a bunch of buildings and don't give rodents behind about our community, BIPOC communities, or preserving integrity of neighborhoods or keeping people out of tents, frankly. They don't care. So that is why we need to at least know what is open to us right now so we can have the opportunity to stay housed where we are. That's no disrespect, no shade, no undermining to those mom and pop landlords. Although I do believe that those of you who are in a position to rent to others in your community also need to look at what is ethical in the way we're moving forward, in the way we're choosing to shelter or not shelter, to help preserve or not preserve communities of color in one of the most expensive cities in the world. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This is First Things First. Love to hear from you. 800-920-1580. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates Women's History Month, spotlighting women leaders in our community who are creating positive change. This KBLA Women's Leaders Series spotlights Tina Sims. Please meet Tina Sims. Tina has been with Walmart for 10 years when she started as a department co-manager. To truly understand the culture of Walmart, Tina was asked to be placed in a role where she could learn the day-to-day business as a leader and to understand the people segment of the company. Tina was promoted to co-manager in a $100 million store and placed as the overnight co-manager. Mastering the process, she was promoted to fresh foods and consumable co-manager. Tina feels learning from associates who understood the Walmart brand accelerated her career and was appointed as the market champion for fresh foods and consumables. Tina has spent time learning the process and expectations of her department and has shared her knowledge with the entire market. Tina continues to be a student of the business to better herself as a leader and to help others advance their careers. Tina has been a store manager now with Walmart for 6 years. KBLA and Walmart salutes Tina Sims.
Personal Injury Law Office is your go-to attorney for criminal cases. That's why we support the right to a fair trial for Los Angeles Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas. Call me at 424-261-2075 if you're facing any criminal offenses.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito is back at Taco Bell. And in case you didn't know, it's stacked. Yeah, packed inside it is a double serving of premium grilled marinated steak and a melty 3-cheese layer. Then on top of that, it has a layer of grilled bubbly cheese on the outside. Yeah, the outside. Why? Probably because it refuses to be caged in by the confines of its tortilla walls. Or maybe just to add more cheesy flavor.
Double steak grilled cheese burrito. Get one today, only at Taco Bell. And participate in U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last. Double steak claim is compared to steak quesadilla. Contact store for hours of participation which varies.
Here at NerdWallet, we often see people struggle with financial decisions, like with Helen. Hey, Helen.
Hello.
Helen, you're all over the place.
I'm trying to pick a rewards credit card, and I've ended up, well, everywhere.
With NerdWallet, you don't have to feel all over the place. NerdWallet has side-by-side comparisons of top credit cards. So whether you need a card for groceries or travel, the smartest card for you is right there.
Wow. Now I'm in one place with the right travel rewards card. Nice.
Nice indeed. NerdWallet, the smartest decision for all your financial decisions.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
And you definitely can call me if you're feeling that way. 800-920-1580. Love to hear what you have to say about a lot of these things. So when I'm talking about tenant protections, I'm talking about what the LA City Council has done or is doing right now to try to kind of compensate, if you will, or counterbalance the end of the tenant protections, those tenant protections that were in place under COVID. But I think it's also a little bit more than that, because even before coronavirus sort of reset everything, there has been a struggle and a conversation around rent control, right? and the repeal of Costa-Hawkins, which makes it so that more modern buildings cannot be rent controlled. Now, there have been statewide initiatives to get rid of that thing that have failed twice. And I think we'll see another one. I'm pretty sure there is another one. I'm always advocating for the end of Costa-Hawkins. I think that because it wouldn't automatically rent control everything, but what it does is it would give cities the ability to make their own rules about what can be rent controlled. Right now, more modern buildings cannot be under rent control, which doesn't make any sense at all. And so, we talked yesterday a little bit about how there are statewide initiatives going on to try to create more housing. And this is going to be one of those situations where we have to have all hands on deck. The thing that I don't get how elected officials on the state and local level are just now freaking out and trying to build housing. Like, I know that we had Measure HH and HHH, and that addressed unhoused people. What I don't understand is how lawmakers are just now figuring out that we've got to take drastic measures to create affordable housing. And actually affordable, not the dumb formulas that they say the median income times your mama's, age equals what they think you can pay. Not that. Affordable meaning what would actually be sustainable for people in this community. And by this community, I don't mean all of LA or all of California. I mean the neighborhood. The pre-gentrified neighborhood affordable price, right? And it just stuns me because anyone that's ever looked for a place to live that's a renter knows that LA's been overpriced. California's been overpriced at least 20 years. And y'all are just freaking out now in 2023 and saying, oh no, what do we do? California looks like Bangladesh. There's tents everywhere. Well, but that's the tip, literally the tip of the iceberg, because the actual iceberg is all of the people that are housed but cannot afford their apartments. They're housed, but paying that rent is taking up more than 50%. That's the definition of being rent burdened. But for many, it's way more than that. You're paying 50, 60, 70% of your income to keep a roof over your head. We got a problem. I'm glad they're moving, but I feel like it's unbelievable to me that we're just starting on this now. It's like a climate crisis. What are we going to wait until everybody's living room is flooded? I mean, how long do we wait until we get serious? Is it denial? Anyways, what we're talking about here is new rules for tenants because the moratorium is over, and we know that some people still got evicted during the moratorium. But one of the most significant changes is something called just cause protections. It means that your landlord has to have a good reason to evict you. And you could say, well, I owe a whole bunch of money from coronavirus. That alone may not be a good reason because they have an obligation to try to negotiate something with you and work it out. And what we're seeing now is very worrying. I told you all I have a friend that found an eviction notice on his door. And had he not been paying attention, he would be out on the street right now because these 24-hour, 48-hour, 3-day notices, you have to respond to them immediately. My understanding, and I'll ask Attorney Jonfi when she gets here, my understanding is that a non-response is a reason, a cause to get you the heck out of there. So what I'm saying is, it's like my friend Marie Deary always says, open your mail, open your mail, open your mail. Denial is not going to save you. If you owe your mortgage, if you owe your light bill, if you have an eviction notice, you got to read it. Ignoring it is going to not end well for you. I like to ignore, bills and stuff too, but we do so at our peril. And you can literally have the sheriff at your door taking your stuff out and putting it on the street. And sadly, I think we're going to be seeing more of this. But just cause means that they have to have a reason We had just cause for some tenants, but now it covers pretty much everybody in Southern California. And it's not, they can just make up a reason. There are certain things that fall within just cause. Like, you're creating a hazard. You're breaking the law, doing crime. That's failure to pay rent is one, but failure to pay rent under the eviction moratorium, they still have to try to work out a deal with you. So that alone is not it. And if you're interfering with the safety of other tenants, so you don't get to be a menace, you can't use your property for crime, and you have to give your landlord what they call reasonable access, meaning they can come in from time to time with notice to inspect. I mean, things like that, but they're not like, oh, I just don't like you anymore. Those are among the reasons that they could evict you. And if they decide to evict you for a reason that is legal but not your fault, i.e., I'm going to move my kid in here, or i.e., I'm turning it into a condo and it will no longer be a rental unit. Those are the most common things landlords will say, like, oh, I'm moving in there, so I'm not going to be renting it out, or a family member is going to move in, or I'm going to be renovating and selling it as a condo. Now they have to help you move. Now they have to help pay for you to move. And anytime the rent increases by 10% or more and forcing you to have to move, now they have to help you move. And the dollar amount of that assistance is significant. So that is meant to keep landlords from just on a whim saying, you know what, I don't like you anymore, get out. And this is big. It may sound like just more verbiage, but it's actually big, because these are the things that can help you should you have to go to court to stay in your apartment. Landlords now have to have a definable reason. They just can't say, oh, that person's a problem. They have to be able to specify what that problem is, and if it's not your fault, they have to come up with a significant amount of money to help you move. Know your rights. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and then more on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Former President Trump is calling his New York hush money payment case a new way of cheating on elections. In an interview that aired Monday, Trump noted he doesn't know if the probe helps or hurts his chances of another run at the White House in 2024. The investigation centers around a payment Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in 2016 to cover up an alleged affair. In Georgia, access is being restricted at the site of Atlanta's new public safety training center. African-American DeKalb County CEO Michael Thurman issued an executive order last Friday after hidden devices were found on the property with the intention of harming someone. The order will be lifted once the park is deemed safe for the public to visit. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The accident guys can come to you almost anywhere, so you don't have to come to us. Se habla español.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Impressive game for the Clippers last night against the Chicago Bulls. They win by 12. 7 Clippers scored in double figures. 24 points from Nicholas Batum, 22 each from Kawhi Leonard and Eric Gordon. Jordan, the Clippers made 23 pointers. 2-game road trip coming up for the Clippers starting Wednesday night in Memphis. For the first time since 1979, there will be no McDonald's High School All-Americans competing in the Final Four. San Diego State, UConn, Florida Atlantic, and Miami made it to the big dance without high-profile players. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron from Original Taco Pete's here, inviting you to our newest location at 3272 West Slauson off Crenshaw for Taco Tuesday, only $175. Call 323-348-4441 to order.
Tell me I'm the boy that girl.
I'm young, gifted, and black.
KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
Is child support taking your money? Did you know that states receive $500 million a year in incentives to put people on child support and find them guilty in those same state hearings? Log on to ChildSupportIsFraud.com for more information.
Tune in to More Than That with Gia Peppers live this Sunday at 4 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580 or wherever you listen to podcasts. This episode of More Than That is brought to you by Chevrolet, where real talk drives real change. Chevrolet, find new roads.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com.
Lowe's MVP's bonus days are back for pros. Right now, buy a DeWalt 20-volt Max Power Stack Battery 2-pack at $199 and get a select DeWalt Bear tool free. Plus, earn 3 times the bonus points on all Metabo HPT tools and products. Shop even more savings and bonus points offers during MVP's bonus days at Lowe's. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid 3/20 through 3/31. Subject to change. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I do appreciate you, and I'm on this eviction protection train because all of these changes really are shifting right now. I mean, we're in the middle of a shifting landscape. And if you owe a bunch of money in back rent, which many, many people do, you're supposed to repay it over the next year. I mean, seems like it's going to be pretty hard. Most people are having trouble paying just the rent alone. But the landlords are meant to work with you, and you are meant to pay it back by 2024. So, I mean, 2023 is, it's already almost April. I mean, it's just disappearing before our eyes. That's how much time you have. And so you need to, if possible, make a deal with your landlord, because in general, if you're a month late on rent, you can be evicted. And it's interesting because even if you're $1, even if you've paid most of what you owe, but you owe another $1 that's a month late, that could be an excuse to evict you. But now what they're saying under the new renter protections is that you have to owe a month of fair market value rent. So even if you're living in a rent-controlled apartment, but so let's say you're paying, say, I don't know, $500 a month. Yeah, right. I know no one pays that. But let's say you were paying $500 a month, but the fair market value of your apartment was really $2,000 a month. The landlord could not evict you until you owed that $2,000. That's a new change in the law. Before, if you had paid $4.99, they could kick you out for that $1. Now they have to, you have to owe a month of fair market value. I don't know how you find out what fair market value is, but maybe Zillow. I'm not sure. Zillow, the website that tells you how much properties are worth or whatever. And a lot of people, if you got a unauthorized roommate or pet during the pandemic, they can't kick you out for it until February 2024. So you can keep that pet or extra family member or whatever you have that you got during the pandemic that was not allowable under your lease. You can keep it or them until February 2024, at which point you can be evicted for that. So again, planning ahead. I know February 2024 seems like a long time from now, but it's less than a year. And when it comes to bills, time seems to fly, right? I just paid that bill. So this is something you plan for. You're either going to have to make a deal with your landlord to let you keep that emotional support hamster or whatever it is that you got, or you're going to have to get someone to adopt it from you or find a new place to live, right? Because starting in February of 2024, you can get kicked out for that. Now you're within your rights. Again, the wiggle room that we've received because of the pandemic, but not just because of the pandemic, because we have elected some progressives to the LA City Council, which go us. I mean, pat yourself on the back today. And I think this is a great example of why elections make a difference. We talk so much about, well, we don't, but, certain people, speaking of talking points on a Talking Point Tuesday, Democrats, Republicans, they're all the same. Well, yeah, they're corporate. They're money driven. They're part of the official system of the United States of America. So in a sense, you could say you have a point. But when it comes to stuff like this, which has concrete impact on people's lives, can you keep your pup? Can you get evicted right now for having the pup, or do you get almost a year to figure it out? That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans, or progressives and centrists, right? No, we're going to give you time to get it together. And elections make a difference. Are you going to get kicked out for owing $1 of rent, or will you have to owe fair market value before an eviction proceeding can go forth? That's really a huge difference for a lot of people in whether they're going to be in a tent or whether they're going to be able to keep their apartment. Elections absolutely matter. And I think the Los Angeles City Council has done some good work here. The mayor said to us, Black journalists, that she is concerned about eviction protection and keeping people who are housed in their homes as much as possible. That what we're looking at is a possible tsunami of people getting evicted. And sometimes it's because they owe too much and they can't make a deal and whatever the reasons are. But sometimes it's simply landlords eyeing the wave of gentrifiers and saying, I can get more from that white person than I'm getting from that Latinx family. I can get more from that person who appears to have money than I can from that black individual. So I'm going to find an excuse to get them out and be part of the problem. And that's why I say, I'm not hating on landlords, not at all. But to me, if you're a mom and pop landlord, we also have a responsibility here as community. I roll my eyes when I hear my friends that have rental property complaining about gentrification while boosting rents to levels that no one that looks like them I know I don't like that looks like them phrase, but no one, black or brown, that's going to want to live where you own can afford. You're being dumb. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Let's use some ethics here in our pricing, in our gatekeeping of who can get into that apartment. What I was getting to is the mayor said she's going to use, there's something called the mayor's fund, private donations that go to a nonprofit controlled by the mayor, and she's committed to using those funds for eviction protections. That's her priority. And she's using the Getty Fund, which is another pot of money that the mayor controls, for eviction protection. So I think, we can all do more, but I think the critique that she's doing nothing is not correct. She's making moves, but we've got to know our rights. Let's go to Micah calling us from L.A. Good morning. Jumbo, hola, hotep, what's up?
Look, I just want to make a little clarification about some of the things that you're saying, because I'm a property owner in L.A. and this Hawkins bill that you're talking about, you were talking about the rents and all this other kind of stuff with that, the rent control and that, but it also includes that if a tenant has been in your building, say, for 10 years, and whatever their rent is, when they move out, you cannot rent it for no more than that when somebody moves back in. That's a major problem, because you never been able
hold on a second. Hold on a second. That's misinformation, because what replaces Costa-Hawkins is whatever replaces Costa-Hawkins. So you're saying there's something in a bill that actually currently doesn't exist. And the last bill that was defeated did not include vacancy control, which is what you're talking about, which isn't fair. I agree. Maybe there should be some vacancy limits, but I don't think you can tell someone they have to keep renting the property for what they've been renting it for 10 years. That's not fair to property owners, because prices go up, maintenance goes up.
And we'll see, and that's absolutely right. And you're correct about corporate Wall Street buying a lot of buildings. If I wouldn't have had all the buildings that I've had for as long as I've had them, I couldn't have kept them. I have friends who have had to give their buildings up because everything is going up, except they can't get their rent. Utilities are going up, property taxes are going up. Some of the friends that I have had to spend like thousands of dollars for this retrofit stuff for the earthquake. They don't get reimbursed for that. And like you said, if the just cause thing, as far as if you owe more or you owe what's up to the market value, okay, sure. Now you can start the eviction process. How long is it going to take them to get up to the market value when you rent? Number one. Number two, if you do be able to evict them for that, how long is that going to take? Another 3-4 months? So, landlords is really getting screwed. Corporate is coming in buying everything that they can because they're the only ones that have the money. They have a program called REIT, R-E-I-T, Real Estate Investment Trust.
Yeah.
Where they have a group of people.
It's an investment tool to buy real estate.
Well, absolutely. And it's unfortunate that a lot of African Americans can't get together and do the same damn thing, because they're coming in paying big dollars for these buildings, and they are reimbursed. They're doing what they have to do to the buildings, and then they're paying the relocation fees for people to get out.
Which are substantial. I mean...
Which is substantial. But wait a minute, Dom, let me give you a key to that. Let's just say that say that the building, the unit, say it's a 2-bedroom apartment, and the market value is $2,200, but you got a person that's standing there. You got a person standing there that's been in there for 10 years, and he's only paying $1,500.
Right.
That's a $700 a month difference.
Right.
Okay. Now you multiply that maybe about 10 or 15 units. You can see how fast that these corporates are going to get their money back.
Of course, absolutely, Micah. You want to stay with me? You've got some great points here, and I actually have some questions for you. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Let the law office of Jay Blacknell take the worry and stress out of your case. We support the right to a fair trial for Los Angeles Council member Mark Willie Thomas. If you are facing a criminal or civil rights matter, please give us a call, 310-469-9117.
Hi,
it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That live on radio this weekend or wherever you listen to podcasts. This week, I'm talking to our guests, Carmion Hamilton and Jewel Pearson, who share how DIY and tiny homes can allow us to reimagine where we live and the spaces we love. This episode of More Than That is brought to you by Kroger, making fresh food more accessible for our local communities.
It is 1,000% imperative that Black people enjoy the environments that they are in. We, as a people, have gone through enough over the last 400 years. The least we could do for ourselves is exist in a space that we feel good about being in. And I tell people, even if you don't see it together in the inspiration that you're looking for, the fact that you love these things, like, it may not go together for anybody else. It may not make sense to anybody else, but the fact that you love them, that is the thread. And so it will absolutely go together when it's pulled together in your space. It will make sense to you because it's your space.
I wanted to make decisions that were based on what does Jewel want to do versus how much money do I have in my bank account. And that's kind of when I pivoted and decided that I was building a tiny house on wheels and started the research, and here I am. I think I'd start with the very cliche, less is more, for one thing, and then build from there. Because I don't feel like I have given anything up in this process, and that I attribute to the design of my home. And I have all of the things in my home because before I actually built, I knew who I was and what I needed to have in this space. You don't have to give up luxury to go tiny.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
So Micah called me, and you can call just like he did, 800-920-1580. I wanted to continue the conversation because he's a property owner in LA. And I was making the distinction because my friend calls me and she says I'm too anti-landlord, but it's not that. I just don't want to see our communities no longer be Black or Latinx. And I don't want people to unfairly gouge. Micah's given some great examples. And he did say one talking point, which actually was used to defeat the repeal of Costa-Hawkins, which isn't true, which is that a repeal of Costa-Hawkins necessarily includes vacancy control. That's not true. Whatever bill is passed to repeal Costa-Hawkins, we've defeated two of them. So there'll be a new one. It has whatever it has in it. It does not automatically include vacancy control, and it won't because no one's going to approve that. But to your point, you're right. The big companies, these corporate landlords, they quickly make a profit. They don't give a rat's behind. They'll pay the relocation fees. They'll renovate the apartments, and they'll rent to people from outside the community looking for a bargain at a great profit. So that is why I think that it's not just on the landlords, it's also on government, because like what my brother is doing in Newark, New Jersey, where he's the mayor, Raz Baraka, he's put laws in place to make it harder for corporations and these REITs to just buy stuff in our community. And he has put in incentives for individuals like you, Micah, to be able to buy. The other thing the mayor talked about that you should know is putting forth programs to try and help mom and pop property owners do things like those retrofit upgrades and things like that are required that many do not have the means to accomplish. But you were talking about how long would it take to get someone out? Well, in some cases, 3 days, right? In other cases, I know it can drag on and on. But I guess my first question for you is, what are you suggesting? Like, what do you think? You think we should just have a free-for-all and let, everybody get evicted? I know it's, a lot of mom and pop landlords live in the communities where they own and probably don't want to see more and more tent cities popping up.
Well, Dominique, we live in a capitalistic society. Okay?
Yes, indeed, but it doesn't have to be predatory capitalism. It can be it can be humane capitalism, which is the kind I like to practice.
Okay, well, miss a couple of car payments with Bank of America and see what they're going to tell you, okay?
Oh, they're going to take your car, but now we're talking about community, Micah. We're not talking about what the big corporations we're doing. We're talking about what we want to do or what we think is right.
Well, you can't go by what's right and wrong in this country.
I do.
But the thing of it is that
maybe that's why I'm not rich.
Yeah, that could be true. But you don't have to be rough to be rich. But I'm just saying,
you don't gotta be rough to be rich. I love that, Micah.
Well, let me just give you an example. I get bombarded. I don't get bombarded anymore because I killed a lot of numbers from various real estate markets and military, all kind of companies be calling me, and they don't want to know anything about my buildings except let me see your rent roll. That's all they want to see. And they'll make a judgment right there based upon what I'm getting for rent and what they can get at a market value, and that will give them a level of money that they can spend and would make it work. If they can get their money back within 3 or 4 years, they do not mind spending it. Okay,
right, because they have it.
Huh?
Because they have it.
Well, absolutely, and it's because it's going to keep going up and up and up. But I don't, the government in this town, I've helped a lot of people. I'm helping a lot of people now. There's some people that owe me a lot of money. I would prefer that they move, but I understand what the situation is. I wouldn't have had the buildings that I've had now. If I wouldn't have had these buildings as long as I've had them, I would have called hell keeping them because they're not small buildings. It's not a mom and pop.
Okay, Micah, I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer my question because I really want solutions from people who are in the trenches dealing with this like you. What do you think ought to be done? What is the ethical but also fair thing that allows you to make a profit, but we don't just push our brothers and sisters into tent cities? That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
We may be LA's newest talk station, but when you're punching above your weight, it's not about whether you can throw a punch. Can you take a punch? We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. And we don't black down.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
The rent is too damn high. KBLA joins you in calling for affordable housing. The LA Tenants Union is a diverse, tenant-led movement fighting for the human right to housing for all. The LA Tenants Union demands safe, affordable housing and union rent control. They organize against landlord harassment, mass evictions, and displacement, and mobilize for the repeal of the Ellis Act and Costa-Hawkins Act. The LA Tenants Union is on a mission to strengthen tenants' political power through education, advocacy, and direct action. To get help with your eviction or other landlord-tenant issues, take action for justice, or become a member, visit latenantsunion.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Micah, he is a property owner from Los Angeles, and he's voicing so many things I've heard from other property owners. Can you give me a piece of a solution or how you envision the way it ought to be, Micah?
Okay. Let me just say this first. Number one, when they come out with a new bill, as far as Hawkins go, I would suggest that you read it. Okay.
Absolutely, I'll read it. That's like I read the last one. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Well, if they come out with a new one, I suggest that you read it. But anyway, that's over with. Now, here's what I would like to see. Now, I think people have been suffering a lot, and the things that I think that would help more than anything else is because a lot of landlords, depending on who they are, they don't have control over a lot of stuff. They're overhead. Now, as an example, we didn't have no water. The water bill shot up if you use too much water. We just had enough rain to fill up the Pacific Ocean, and they still talking about you got a drought.
Yeah.
So bring the water bill back down to where it was at. Gas bill, even my house went from $125 to $500 in 1 month. Okay, now I mean, either you're going to have to help a landlord cover those costs, that overhead, or he's going to have problems. And that's the same thing with property taxes. Now you talk about schools. They talk about teachers need more money. These people need more money. Well, all that is property taxes. Okay, so now you're gonna get hit with that again.
Well, we're under Prop 13 still, so we can't get hit with that for teachers' raises. It can come out of other kinds of taxes. But that's another talking point that's just not true, Micah, because Prop 13 doesn't allow them to raise your property taxes. And the problem with that is that it also doesn't allow the raising of corporate property taxes. So these corporations are getting away with murder because they're getting protections that were put in place for people like you, although you say you're borderline. You say you're not quite mom and pop. You're kind of a real estate mogul, Micah?
Well, I don't know about all of that. But
it sounds like it.
Well, no, mom and pop is like 4 units and under. That's what they call a mom and pop.
Okay.
But see, my thing is, of course, corporate's gonna always have loopholes. Always.
Right.
The laws are written for loopholes. But if you don't have the money to pay the people to know the loopholes, you're gonna have to pay.
Okay, but let's not say things that aren't true. The SEIU Local 99 workers' raise is not going to impact property taxes at all. It's impossible for it to do so in the state of California because of Proposition 13 and all of the dumb things that unintended consequences of that, that we live with. But to say that now your property tax is going to go up, it's not true. It's just simply not true, Micah.
Well, on residential property, your home, for instance, you're absolutely right. But on apartment buildings, that's not true. Okay? It's going to go up.
You know what? That what you're saying is wrong, because otherwise we would be able to raise property taxes on big corporate office buildings, which we cannot do under Prop 13 to pay for stuff like schools. I mean, which is anyway. That's just what it is. I don't want to go back and forth with you. I was really hoping to get your thoughts on some solutions. And so far what you're saying is there needs to be subsidies for uncontrollable expenses like the gas bills and the water bills, which fluctuate with availability.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, it's been a great conversation. I think you're a very wise sister. I enjoy listening to you.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you, Micah. And I really do appreciate your perspective, because I know that, I know that this is a big issue for our community. I mean, not just because I have a girlfriend. I know that there's a whole organization that's been created around protecting mom and pop, or whatever. Micah is leveled up from mom and pop. He's somewhere in between mom and pop and those big corporations. And thus, again, you hear him talking about, a whole lot of people owe him a whole lot of money. Whatever he decides to do, he's going to do, but it's a human being, not a corporate board. And, that right there is already better in most cases for the preservation of our communities and for keeping people out of tents. We've got news, traffic, and sports. Then I'll be joined by the fabulous attorney Nana Jomfi. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm